Shalom. Giving all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushua, by Hashem, Kakodash. Double honors to the apostles, elder bishops of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to 144,000, rest of the whole elect out there. This is your brother, the priest, Design Warren from GMS Atlanta. Back with another edifying video. I have here an article from MSN, from Newsweek. It says, Russia warns U.S. over Iran. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov has warned the U.S. that direct military assistance to Israel could radically destabilize the Middle East. And when you know the prophecies in the scriptures, then you know that Russia, the U.S., Iran, and other countries will be in the Middle East in the Battle of Armageddon or World War III. So this article, it just caught my eye. I was checking the news feed and just seeing what was going on. And this is from 2 days ago. But, the talk of World War III is in the air. Actually, I believe it's trending. But, as of last week, there's been a pretty much a war started between Iran and Israel. And the U.S. is saying that they're not going to be involved directly, but they're still helping Israel out. And then Russia has warned the U.S. about getting involved. So it says his statement on Wednesday comes as the region facing an escalating air war between Iran and Israel. Newsweek has reached out to the Kremlin and the State Department for comment. It says why it matters. The ongoing conflict between Iran and Israel is unfolding against the backdrop of long-standing hostility and strategic rivalry in the Middle East. Any involvement by the U.S., a key ally of Israel, could widen the conflict. Russia's stance over the threat to Iran, with which it has a close strategic relationship, signals heightened global concern over the potential for a wider war that can engulf neighboring countries and disrupt global energy supplies. So let's go to the scriptures, and based on this information, let's see what it says. So when you read the book of Revelation, the 16th chapter, it speaks about these different nations will come together to fight. So this is Revelation chapter 16 and 12. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. And what we've seen in the last few years is the Euphrates River is drying up. And there's also means that the kings of the east, which is Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, they're going to bring their militaries into that region to fight in, as it's going to say here, Armageddon. Verse 13, and I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world. Now, the three unclean spirits, they represent the three city-states of the Western power structure. You have the U.S. with D.C., which has control of the main military force. You have London, which is the financial force. And you also have Italy, which is the false prophet, the Roman Catholic Church. And that is the unclean spirits of the beast and the dragon, which is the revival of the Roman Empire in its current state as NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which the dragon are the Edomites, which were once in control of Rome You can look up Rome being connected back to Esau, and Esau and Edom being one and the same as the last ruling empire before the kingdom of Israel is reestablished on earth. And when I say Israel, I mean the Hebrew Israelites, the so-called black Spanish and Native Americans, which are the true Jews according to the Bible. And what's getting ready to happen is all these countries are going to be influenced to go into the Middle East to fight this war. It says, for they are the spirits of devils, which are what? Deceivers, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of the power Almighty. And that is the battle of Armageddon. It says in verse 16, and he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. And what's going to happen is Russia is going to protect Iran, which in Bible prophecy is known as Persia. So this is Ezekiel 38:5. It says, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Persia being Iran, Ethiopia, Libya, are all countries today. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, which represents Turkey in that region, and all his bands and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. And this prophecy is speaking about Gog and Magog. This is Ezekiel 38:3. And thus saith the Lord, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. And that Gog today will be Russia. Okay? Verse 2, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And ultimately, Russia is going to be a guard and a protector of Persia, which is Iran. And when you read Jeremiah 50:46, it says that the least of the flock is going to draw Babylon out in the war in these last days. And that is speaking about the relationship between Israel and the U.S. Jeremiah 50:45. Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord that he had taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he had purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Babylon is America, or the U.S. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. The least of the flock are the state of Israel. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them, which will lead ultimately to nuclear destruction. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved and the cry is heard among the nations, and that is what's going to happen to America. Okay, the destruction of Babylon the Great. So when you see these articles and you hear these things in the news, it all plays into a bigger picture of Bible prophecy. And that's the current time that we're living in. Okay? In all these different countries, the kings of the East and others, the allies of America, Europe, they're all going to get involved. Okay? Here's another article here, June 20th, 2025. Direct clash with Russia. EU says Moscow stands no chance against a united NATO, but history tells us a different story. So this is just the news, news that is coming out today. Different articles pertaining to this war. This is from the Eurasian Times. So I just want to put a few precepts together. I was looking at the news, and the war is a current topic, World War III. So I thought I'd speak on it. I'm not sure if there's like a trending. Okay, I believe when you look this up and you go to Google and you look up trending, World War III was one of the trending topics. Now this is interesting here. Kroger closing 60 stores. Kroger plans to close 60 stores over 18 months. Well, the scripture says that the doors shall be shut in the streets. Let's get that scripture and then I'll close. So whenever you watch the news, whenever you get these reports, or you're on your phone or you hear things, there's always a scripture to speak on these events that's happening pertaining to prophecy. This is Ecclesiastes 12:4. And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. And that's speaking about businesses. When you have a high unemployment rate, people aren't buying, there's no jobs, tariffs are inflating the prices of items, that shuts certain businesses down. Then you have these ICE deportation agents out, deporting most workers back to their country. Speaking about the Latin tribes, so-called Hispanics, which are Israelites, by the way, then a lot of businesses are now complaining about not having workers. So all this ties back to the Bible. It says, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. And that's the entertainment world is down at an all-time low. Verse 5, also when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fears in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail. That's talking about this place, America, falling. And then it's going to get dragged into this war. It's all prophecy. Because man goes to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets. And we're seeing the protests that's building up around America and around the world for, various reasons. The deportation, the war in Gaza, and now it's going on in Israel and Iran. So we're in the time of the end. We're in the time of these prophecies manifesting. But with that, I'm going to close out. Pray that this was edifying. This is just real quick. Just looking at the news and precepts came to mind. And that's how you understand what's going on around you. So, continue to stay in the spirit, continue to learn, and continue to have faith. All praises goes to Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai B'Shem Kakwadash. Shalom.